Welcome back to the Bamboo Ceiling Podcast. We got something good for y'all today. We've gotten a lot of clips that have been coming from Laos or Thailand that has gone viral in our social media world here in our Hmong American world, where there's the one that has popped up, and we are, a little late to the show, but we kind of want to react to it. It's about this clip on TikTok where there's this little 10 to 12-year-old girl, and she was violated by three of these other dudes that were, could be in their 20s. And so we kind of just want to react to it. And so, so starting from that, like, did you guys see the TikTok video of the little girl? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw, it was a short video. It was like 8 seconds, right? Initial reaction is pretty sickening, super cringe. But then I think the one thing I would say is I don't know the ages of the girl. I don't know the ages of the dudes. She looks younger for sure. The dudes look pretty young too, but it's hard to tell. There's not a lot of info on it. So I think ages matter a lot.
What would an age be okay in your mind if you're to make up an age number? Right.
Initial thought is always 18 because, we're Americans and that's what that's culturally what is accepted. But I guess my answer would be, I don't know, right? But I know that 12 is too young.
Do you think 17 and 12 would be okay in your mind?
Between the guys and the girl?
Yeah, I think if they're both underage,
okay,
then that's a different story.
But 18 and 12 wouldn't be okay.
I think I would say no, like just a hard no on that one. Yeah. And maybe that's opinion, right? But then I have the luxury of being in America and understanding developmental of child brains and knowing that a 12-year-old is not developed yet as far as an 18-year-old is, right? And I understand all of that, but for sure 12 is too young for me. I guess that's what I would say. Yeah.
So since we're on the topic of age, right? From the perspective of pedophilia, absolutely. Okay, that's horrible. But from the perspective of sexual assault, age doesn't matter. Okay, I could be 60 and the lady could be 80 and I could totally sexual assault her. Exactly. So age is literally irrelevant when it comes to sexual assault. So in that video, when I first saw it, yeah, dude, I got mad because I told you guys know me. I have a daughter too, and it hits home. It struck a chord because I have a daughter, and I know. And I see the innocence in her every day, and to see dudes, regardless of the age, if my daughter was 12 and a 15-year-old boy sexually assaulted her, right, it's bad, it's he'll be dead, because regardless of the age, right? Yeah. And so my immediate reaction of that video is, dude, that's horrible, and I think, prepping up the prep work we did to this video too is just seeing the look on that girl's face. And I don't know, it's just wrong. And I think it struck. So what I'm saying is because it struck a chord with a lot of us in America because we all know someone that this has happened to or know someone that's doing this, to be honest, right? We all have an uncle or a grandpa that, I can't say all, but a lot of people know someone, and I'm sure a lot could agree that we know someone that
it's prevalent in our community.
Yeah, it's very prevalent in our community. It's not unique just to our community. So I don't want the audience to listen to us and be like, hey, why are you guys bashing Hmong people? Because it's not unique to us, but it's prevalent. It's something that happens a lot.
Yeah, I kind of want to dissect the video with you guys. I think you can see the video where she's being violated. She was covering her face, right? Yeah. As the guys were trying to disgustingly try to kiss her. There was a couple of clips, and there was one time where this guy was trying to kiss her for like 5 minutes or 5 seconds while she's covering her mouth, and she's covering her vulnerable body like parts. And so you know that she doesn't want it. She's irritated. I don't know how fearful in the moment she was, but she was covering her body with her hand, and she was covering her face. And so in this moment, you could definitely see that she's vulnerable. She's with 3 dudes who, I think
Four.
Was it 4 guys?
Yeah, including the camera guy.
Where I'm just like, if she does anything right in this situation or a misstep, a little situation, or I wouldn't say little situation, that situation could lead to more extremities where this girl might be gone. You know what I mean? If she runs away. And so I think just, be cautious of, I think in the moment, this is not okay. Things like this is not okay, where she is caught in a moment where, there's 3 predators, right?
Yeah.
That are forcing themselves on her in this. And so I think, my thought is like, man, like, how do we as a community, shine light to the worth we place on girls, and guys, and challenge the mindset of how guys in our community view the other gender in this,
Like we all agree wholeheartedly that this is evil, right? Like anything close to this is evil. Anything surrounding
sexual assault, pedophilia.
This is disgusting. We do in no way, shape, or form are we supporting or condoning any behavior like that.
Yeah, I think to and not to be like, oh, we're the good cops and bad cops. I think we are still on the journey as Hmong guys, right? Growing up in a system that the patriarchy, where we have the privilege to do whatever we want, right? And the women's were slaves. And so we are still being renewed or growing in that process. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect in all this means, and I can't speak for y'all, but I just feel like we need to call ourselves out as Hmong men to be like, dude, I think there needs to be a system that needs to change the way we see our women, in our community, because as you could clearly see, these boys or these guys clearly didn't value this girl as, or honor her as an individual. And so they violated her. And so it's like, but that comes from the stem root of what we believe women should play in the role women should play in our society.
Yeah, I don't have an answer, right, to how we can change that. It's weird to me because I look at how our culture practices like wedding rituals, right? And how our culture tends to protect our daughters, right? But then for whatever reason, culturally, we don't value our daughters. Like for instance, right? At weddings, right? There is the right? Her role is to stay next to the bride to protect the bride, right? So I'm hiring another lady to protect my daughter as she's going through the wedding ceremonies, right? And then there's the negotiations where my family looks into your family's background to make sure that my daughter is marrying someone that doesn't have disease, doesn't have issues, doesn't have thing, right? And then there's the practice that we would penalize.
My daughter is so valuable to me that if you do anything wrong to her, I'm gonna sue the F out of you,
exactly.
Right? So if you love your daughter that much, then how come you don't walk it like you talk it, right?
Exactly.
Walk it like you talk it, right? But then we talk it like we do the opposite, And I see where you're coming from. We put so much emphasis on our daughters, but unfortunately, I think because I don't say we as us, but as in general, I'm generalizing the culture as a whole. I think they put that on there because of just, I hate to say this, but they see girls as more like a cash crop, right? Where this is my investment and I have to protect it. And I hate it because that's how it plays out to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want us to start caring more about our daughters, because like I said, I have one. So this hits home, right? And yeah, man. So moving forward, like how do we educate our people? How do we stop things like this from happening, right? And that seems to be the $1 million question, you know? And I hate the fact that by questioning it too, you know, I could be painted as, you know what I'm saying? Like because
I think we ought to question it from the standpoint of how do we put an end to these things?
Yes.
Right. I think there are certain things that, being a devil's advocate, questioning it just to question it for like, so we can have a broader view on it. There are certain situations and certain things that we ought to not question like that, like pedophilia. Like I don't think there's no,
if and buts about it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And I don't think even, I might be wrong in this, but I believe this. Like even to the point where people have deemed it as a disease on the male's part, right? That's hard for me to swallow. Like where it's a disease for them and they can't stop themselves from touching little girls or little boys,
or
right? Attraction, right? That's hard for me to swallow. I don't know. Like that's hard for me to swallow. And it's because it's near it. I've seen the destruction that it causes because there are people in my life that have experienced that, right? And so I admit my own biases, but then I believe there are certain things that we ought to not question just to question, because it's ridiculous.
I think it's universally known that it's not right, you know, like things like
it's
that.
Like killing somebody.
Yeah,
right.
Like you were, and you as soon as you were born and you grew up, you knew that you can't kill someone. You know, there are some things that you just genetically are wired not to do.
Right.
And I don't know. And so there are no excuses around that, you know?
The question that comes to mind is the slogan, do better, right? It's trendy. How do we do better as a community? Yeah. What is our fault, right? That we can individually take, whether guys or girls. I think there are girls that don't empower women, right, in this, and guys that don't know how to honor women. So I think overall, as a collective community, do better. How does that look like?
I think one thing that I can do better on is I still have that mentality of joking, right? Like whenever our friends will get together, like all the girls, my friends' wives are awesome. Like they're all awesome. And it's hard. I think as a group of friends, it's hard to say that about your group of friends' wives, is that they're all awesome, because all the other friends I have, there's always like one friend that has a crappy wife. But in my close knit friends, all the wives are awesome, and you know they work hard and they cook and they all do that. But then at the end of the day, whenever we're together or we're at a cabin, right, they'll cook and they'll set the table and everything. And then we always kid, hey, men first, right?
Yeah, right.
And so like I know it's only kiddingly, right? And
because
I know that
you guys, at the end of the day, they're eating with you guys.
Yeah.
And there is no the guys go first. Yeah.
Right. But like for the sake of like to help empower our women, like can we cut some of that kiddingly around, right?
Do you think that comes from unconscious bias that we still see them as possession somewhat and see them as less than? Because I feel like even the kidding part, right?
Yeah.
I think we're trying to get to over the hump of, hey, these are equal to, right, us. And I think because we have been indoctrinated by, you know, men and women role in our community, that we are more than, right? And so for women, I feel like in our community, they always feel less than regardless. And so how do we move that forward in that? Because I think to that point it is right. I think, you know, we have to call ourselves out and be like, hey, we've joked about this. We've, you know, kind of, and not that we intentionally like lower them, but unconsciously as a community, I think we have, made them less than, and we may cater to that still, regardless or not. But how do we move forward so that they can see the value and worth? Because this little girl, like, at the end of the day, like, it's like her worth and value. We're her parents to instill that, and for the guys to instill worth and honor to this little girl, like, to treat her like that. Like, we have to question this because it's a belief system in our community.
I like what you said, Apple, about, like, I think moving forward we have to show the same energy to, like, pedophilia, the whole energy against seeing women as second-class citizen. We want to make it as much a taboo topic as much as marrying the same last name, right? Like, we put all that energy into marrying the same last name, but yet we have, like, bigger fish to fry, like I want them to be in not just in the same category but worse, right? Like, when you do crap like that, when you don't value a woman, or when you don't value your daughters and you see them as, like, a cash crop, I want, like you said, 18 clan. I want the elders, I want the people that claim to be the better ones, right? The ones that hold positions, all the ones that are at these banquets with suits and ties and bottles of, like, Black Label or Blue Label. I think that's what they drink now. And I want everybody as a whole collectively. I think we all should condemn this as much as marrying the same last name. We spent all that time and energy and oh, you can't marry the same last name because you guys aren't even related. But then it's seen as such a taboo topic that people actually stop doing it. And when we can actually put, like, pedophilia and, like, sexual assault into the same category, I think that's the only way we can move forward.
Yeah, I think that's a start.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks to feel this way, but to, like, not have any hope for the older generation to change. But they are in leadership roles right now, and people do listen to them. But I think the onus really is on us, right? Our generation. But and for us to even have these conversations, right? I think that's a start. But man, like, there are so it's hard for me because I feel like they're so far and few
of those guys around.
Yeah, those guys around that I don't have that much hope.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not I didn't say that to say that, hey, we're all just gonna wait for them to do anything. It's on us too.
Right.
And I think I do have faith because we, when that video came out, and, like, just reading a lot of the comments on, like, Hmong village community and, like, whatever on Facebook, and to see the response and, like, the support from both men and women, and what even pisses me off more too is the fact that, like, woman they were legit, like, supporting it too, like, like, they actually asked more grotesque questions than these dudes, and, like, some of the women are like, I don't know if you guys read any comments, but, like, some of them were even questioning, oh, she went there with them, so she must be okay, and, like, that, coming from a woman. It goes back to your point where they don't value themselves. Like, it's been ingrained in them for so long that they don't value their own, like innocence, their own worth, right? To where, like, they don't even see that as a woman, you asking those questions, it's not good for you.
Right. And I think I've seen programs that help educate women in these situations, and I think we just need more of that too. It's hard to talk about it as a guy because we will never
get it right
and experience that to the extent of a woman, right? But I think a lot of it has to do with education too, right? To be able to empower these women. I don't know, man. Like, do we have organizations that support programs that educate Hmong or even any women, right?
There's a Hmong influence. Her Vang, he empowers women in third world country, which is super rare. I don't know so much here, but I think there are a few. I don't know if they're influencers, but I think they've been voices in the community to start empowering women for sure.
Yeah.
I think honestly, like it goes back to I feel like an individual influences a family. The family then influences a community. And I think for us, if we're going back to like how you feel hopeless, right? I think the hope is in the individuals. And I think men, as much as we can't relate to how the women feel in our community, I think we can be advocates and allies, right? And not be the star of the show because we don't know. And that's okay. I think as men to, like swallow our pride and take the backseat, be like, hey, we can be partner with you guys and be allies and advocate in this because we don't know what it's like. We don't try to pretend to know what it's like because we are still figuring that out and be okay because we have kind of participated in this. And so I think for us to not be, like, oh, we have it all together or have the answer, maybe it just starts with us as individuals that we may lead our families and then lead the community in that. And I think there is hope in individuals, but the community, as we're to look at the macro whole, it is tough. It does feel like, I think the situation, I think from me 10 years ago to now, I think my worldviews have shifted because being indoctrinated of being a man and being superior and more than, a woman, I think I have grown a lot in that. I'm not there yet, but I still feel like there's still a long way to grow in that. And so I do think there is a little bit more hope that I've seen just from my own experience of my own journey in this. And so.
Yeah. I think we all can agree that, kind of going back, I'm just bringing us back to the video, and the initial reason why we're doing this is that, it's not right. When it comes to what we saw in that video, we condemn those dudes, those practices. Anything that's relatable to that is just off, and we don't like that. And I want to encourage everyone that's listening too, to have a voice and speak up, like empower your sisters, your daughters, your moms, and at the same time call out the people that you see that are doing the bad stuff too. It takes a combination of both. You have to call out the perps, and you have to encourage and empower the victims, right? And so, yeah, in closing, we
need some snitches.
We need some Hmong Karens and Kens, So we do, because we keep sweeping these issues under the rugs, and that will never do anything for us. So, anything else you guys want to add on?
No, I think to that point, we just need to keep our community accountable too. We're not perfect. There's a lot of beauty in our community, but there is a lot of flaws as well. And I think with our flaws, to move our community forward, like how you're saying, Doug, we need to use our voices, but also on that, we also need to keep our community in check and accountable to the things that we see that doesn't fit, as we are a culture in an ever-evolving culture in America here, and beginning to start shifting, And so I think just keeping our community, like keeping your brothers or sisters, but just to like challenge the fact that, like, hey, have you ever affirmed your sister? You know what I mean? Or because I do feel that they live in a world of insecurity, of they're more than enough, there's too much, or they're not enough. And it's like, can you ever just affirm them so that they know their worth in all this, right? That they are enough and they don't need to take this crap from anybody, because in that place, it's like, dang, like, I do believe we need to empower our women to know that they are enough in this. And that the guys that, are predators in this, like, stop, keep them accountable, because I think we don't have voices enough because we don't call out our own. It's so easy to call out others, but we don't call our own. And so for the brothers, it's like, how do we do a good job of keeping them accountable? Be like, yo, dude, you out of order, man. Like, you gotta, and so I think we have to do the tough stuff that people won't, to overturn things and to see change happen in our world. So
hey, if you enjoyed this episode of The Bamboo Ceiling, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review on iTunes. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at #TheBambooCeiling. Until next time, use your voice.